At BlizzCon 2023, Chris Metzen announced the World of Warcraft World Souls Saga. We're basically right in the middle of it right now. After the War Within came Midnight, and after that comes The Last Titan. That will definitely be the next expansion. Now, there's another leak that says we know what happens in The Last Titan, and we know who the final boss of World of Warcraft will be, and how things will continue from there. It's really a very, very big leak, at least in terms of the impact it could have. Whether any of this is actually true in the end, of course, well, we don't know at this point. But nonetheless, I like to speculate. So let's take a look at all of this. And of course, your input is welcome. Feel free to share your opinion in the comments. So, all in all, if you don't want to be spoiled, look away, no matter whether it turns out to be true or not. Currently, it seems that as of now, Xalatath is succeeding with her plan. So she manages to corrupt Azeroth, not completely, but she gets it done. And that causes Azeroth to awaken in the Last Titan, not as a good titan or anything like that, but as an enraged monstrosity trapped between the void. And her true goal, the desire for order that she received from the Titans, and so on and so forth, with that, she then begins to try to destroy the negative influences that have affected her recently, including Xalatath and so on. And we know that Azeroth is supposed to be very, very powerful. She wants to wipe everything out. She tries to do that everywhere. And in the end, she also defeats the Titans we've known so far who try to stop her from doing so. And that's where the new name of the expansion is supposed to come from, The Last Titan. Azeroth is literally the last Titan then that exists. In the end, we manage to put Azeroth to sleep, which causes her to lose a large part of her power. And that's where everything is supposed to continue in the expansion after The Last Titan, and that's what we're reading here. The expansion following The Last Titan will be set in southern Kalimdor, so that's probably where everything will take place. Take place. Take place. Take place after the whole story. And look at it like this. After this whole story with Azeroth, there's an event that changes the entire old world. The sword could play a role, and so on and so forth, and otherwise we'll also return to Uldum and so on, mainly because of the Titan structures and so on that we find there. All in all, it seems that Azeroth will awaken again in this expansion after the Last Titan, and she still wants to cleanse the entire planet, including us players. And in the end, this means that we will have to face Azeroth in a final battle. How this battle will ultimately end wasn't revealed in the leaks, but it's supposed to be the finale of World of Warcraft. In other words, this battle ends the chapter of WoW as we know it now. We've seen from other leaks that Blizzard already has 2 more expansions planned after the Last Titan, but that wouldn't necessarily be WoW as we know it now. So basically, the whole thing around Azeroth will be triggered in the Last Titan, and in the expansion after that, we'll reach the big finale where we face Azeroth. And either yes, we defeat her, or she defeats us. In both cases, that would, according to leaks, mean the planet as we know it would cease to exist and die. And that would then mean that the chapter World of WoW ends, and with it, a World of WoW 2 begins. So with the expansion, the MMO isn't supposed to end, but simply move on to a new chapter. In other words, if that's true, we'd probably get another MMO in the WoW setting, but probably with different characters in a different timeline, whatever. There hasn't been much to read about that yet. Yeah, ultimately it's difficult. What would a World of Warcraft 2 actually look like? In the past few days, there have already been a lot of speculations, with players wishing that World of Warcraft would get a graphics update, a more realistic look. That would of course be possible with a World of Warcraft 2. But, yeah. I think it's incredibly difficult to grasp. How would you set the whole thing up? Well, I mean it in the sense of, let's say, really, I don't know, Azeroth wins, she defeats us, and everything gets wiped out. How do you start then? Do you pretend as if that never happened and we just walk around Azeroth again afterwards, only that in a WoW 2 the story takes a different turn? Do we maybe still have characters from the Warcraft universe, but they've moved to another planet and then their story basically continues there? Or is it World of Warcraft as it has been so far, just with better graphics? Or there are theoretically a ton of ways you could continue the whole thing. And the leak just didn't go into any more detail. According to that, it will definitely continue with WoW. But now it's Last Titan, then another add-on, and then everything either goes up, goes down the drain, or whatever. And then Blizzard launches World of Warcraft 2. At this point, to be honest, I have absolutely no idea how likely that is. Would something like that happen? Would something like that not happen? I absolutely can't judge it right now. And honestly, I don't even want to at this point. I always find these leaks quite interesting in themselves, but since I don't have any sources or anything like that right now, well, of course I do have sources. I can tell you what is being said in there, but I don't have any leaks myself that would allow me to speculate on how things will continue. And everything I would say now would actually just be imagination and an embellishment of stories that I don't know. With a leak, the rumors come from somewhere. Everything I could say now, I would just be making up. So, yeah, feel free to write in the comments, what do you guys think about all this? So basically, first the storyline that supposedly awaits us there, and then also that it could continue with World of Warcraft 2. The only thing I want to say about that is what would be difficult. For me, WoW has the advantage that in its current version it runs on pretty much any PC, which brings in and keeps a lot of players. If you switch to a very modern graphics style, I think it would exclude a lot of players because they simply wouldn't have the PCs for it. And I think it's questionable how many people would actually buy a completely new PC just to be able to play World of Warcraft with top-of-the-line modern graphics. I don't know if, in the end, that wouldn't actually backfire or be a complete flop. But yeah, I'd love to hear your opinion. Please feel free to write it in the comments. And with that, thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Take care.